The last long form video that I posted, titled, I think about unaliving myself a lot. I want to talk about it. Or something like that. I mean, it's the same title as this video, except with part 1 instead of part 2. All I'm trying to say is this is a part 2. I would say if you can, if you're willing to, it is better to watch part 1 first. There's a lot of content warning at the beginning of part 1 as well. I do think this section is a lot less graphic. It's less graphic, but it is very specific. And I do share specific instances of suicidal ideation that include, like, a plan. And if hearing a plan is gonna be bad for you, then don't listen to it, okay? I just wanted to make sure that I put this in here before that because I just want to be super clear about that, and I want everybody to make safe boundaries for themselves in the content that they consume. But in any case, this one is honestly less of a downer than the last one, even though I just gave the content warning that I did. This one is way less of a downer because the point that I'm getting to is how I make it past those moments and what I do, like, to keep myself alive. And, you know, it's worked for 25 years. So I think it's worth sharing because there is literally no feeling that is worth unaliving yourself on purpose. That's just not, we don't take those. That is not acceptable. That is literally killing a person, okay? That's against the rules of this channel. Anyway, sorry, and when I say that, I, of course, am not saying that about those who have already passed and those who have died. I am not trying to say that they are bad people for doing that. What I am trying to say is more of, for the living, you better stay that way, you know? Anyways, if I ramble too much, then I'm just gonna basically say everything that's in this TikTok video that I'm re-uploading. Which, if you missed the first part, basically, I have quite a few TikTok videos that are anywhere from 4 to 10 minutes, and nobody watches them on TikTok, because nobody's watching videos that long on TikTok, and it doesn't matter. Here it is. I love saying unhinged personal things on the internet, so I want to talk about ways that I keep myself alive. For, like, specific reference, I am autistic, I have ADHD, you know, child emotional neglect, just the normal stuff. But because of the way my disabilities interact with my brain and also the world, when I'm not able to live up to expectations, my own expectations, other people's expectations, like, I'm constantly not being able to live up to those expectations with even the simplest things, like being on time. It really makes me feel like I do not belong in the world. And other things, like the reason that I am posting so much on social media is because I, like, need to say these things. But there's so much that I, like, need to say to self-regulate that it can also overwhelm even people who love me and want to listen, and maybe it's not overwhelming them and I'm just projecting that onto them. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I'm not able to say them to a person all the time. And it's easier to say them to the void of the internet, which is so weird. But it's not actually that weird because I already know why I do that. And the reason is because what makes me feel the most like I don't belong in this world is feeling like it's just me constantly causing inconveniences to people, right? But I know for a fact that I am not the only person with these kinds of experiences. And more than likely, a good chunk of the people who share these experiences also don't feel like they belong in the world. And while there are times that feeling is overwhelming, it's kind of something that crosses my mind on a daily basis, to the point where I have to be careful when I'm driving, because one symptom of ADHD is kind of a lack of impulse control, right? Which, like, in the brain is things coming from from back here. It's decisions being made without checking in with the prefrontal cortex, which is the part that does the thinking. And what this looks like in my daily life is, blurting things out that I kind of wish I didn't, because they can be socially inappropriate or distracting. I spend a lot of time in professional rehearsal spaces where I am not the director, and I really struggle to avoid blurting things out, and a lot of times it's silly things. But that's not what this is about. That's not what makes me worried to drive. Just ways I'm worried that this lack of impulse control is going to take over when I'm driving and I see a wall and I'm like, oh, or like I'm driving over a bridge. Like, every time, maybe not every time, but I think any times is too many times, actually. I'm driving past a wall, I'm driving over a bridge, and it's like, this would all be over if I just drove off this bridge right now, Like, I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. Like, those thoughts are passing through my mind pretty much every day. And that's a big part of why I hate driving. But I want to talk about it because, as I said before, I know there's no way that I'm unique in this. And I would be so upset if I heard, I'm always upset when I hear that people die. Crazy, I know. And there is something extra sad about people unaliving themselves. And the times that I'm most at risk is when I feel the most alone. And when I'm in those moments, I have to, honestly, a lot of times I have to remind myself it would be a much bigger inconvenience to my loved ones if I suddenly died out of nowhere, Like, that would be a much bigger inconvenience to them. They would hate that. And they would have to figure out what to do with all my stuff. And they would have to figure out why they didn't understand my suffering. They would have to be like, oh, I feel so bad. I don't want them to go through that. But that's not always enough, I think it's much better to think of the other people with the same type of pain and knowing how much I'm rooting for them. And it doesn't matter if I've met them. It doesn't matter where they are. I know they're out there. There's no way that my experience is unique. And I want them to know that I'm out here. And I think when we find that shared space, that solidarity, it's a lot easier to get through the moments that you feel the most alone. Anyways, stay safe, stay alive, do things that make happy chemicals in your brain. So, I hope that was a good thing for you to watch. I am unironically pursuing my content career So I would be actually very, very grateful if you even thought about subscribing, or liking, or commenting, or sharing. I hate saying those things, as do most people, but I just know, because of my limitations, that nothing I post is going, it's just, nothing is going to do well in the why can't I speak? This is why it's not going to do well in the algorithm. Nothing I post is going to do well in the algorithm, because I am too disabled to make good content on my own at this stage in my life. I have too much other work to do to survive to make good content, but I have shit to say, so please help me say it.